high school is investigating a video that went viral of some cheerleaders from the Weber High School in Utah. And what they did is it seems they have taken, they were told to say like this one phrase and then use Instagram's rewind feature to play that phrase backwards. And then it says the N word and the F word at the same time, essentially. So we're gonna show you the video for those who don't wanna hear it. Good for you because it's terrible. We're gonna play it right now. So they're saying this phrase backwards and that happened. And yeah, welcome to white girls in a car on a road trip. It's horrible. According to the school, they say they were kids joking around, and it's unfortunate that they engaged in this kind of conduct, but that doesn't excuse it. I don't want to do 5 words or less for this. Let's get into it. Like, this is horrible, right? They say that someone leaked it. There's a lot of like different levels of how horrible this is. But like, I don't know. What do you guys think of this video? You hear it, you see it, it's going viral. It sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. I feel like they thought they were being cool. You know, they're just gonna share it with their friends. Be like, look, like this is so funny, this is so cool. Like it's not racist. And I think one of the girls is like, it's not racist because like one of my best friends is black. I hate that excuse so much. It's like, well, I know somebody who's African American or who's Hispanic. Like, no, that's not a good excuse.
Your president was, doesn't make you not racist.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they were just trying to be cool. Obviously didn't work. I'm glad that some of their friends who they sent it to were like, this isn't okay, and they stepped up and like shared it and was like, this isn't okay, they should get in trouble. And I'm glad that the school isn't really defending them in the sense that they're not gonna do anything about it. I'm glad that they're actually doing something about it. But I mean, I guess the one positive I can think is that they are young and this can be a teaching moment. I feel like when you're young, you have I don't know, like your mind is just able to kind of change more than when you're adult and you're set in your ways. That's the only positive that I could think about is that they're kids.
Yeah, I share the same sentiment, Daron, about it being a teaching moment. When I watched the video, there's no way watching that video you can think that's because some people said, oh, these girls didn't know. They knew what they were doing, and even the superintendent says they knew exactly what they were doing. And what was really eye-opening was when their fellow peers said, like we expected more from them because like they're cheerleaders, they're all involved in extracurricular activities. I think that the discipline. People ask about how should they be disciplined.
Yeah.
Well, if they are in extracurricular activities, they have to keep a GPA. So I'm gathering that a lot of them, do well in school. So I don't think they should be expelled from school for this. I think there needs to be stiff consequences, but I don't think they should have their academic careers ruined because of this. And some people are calling for that. I think that's not a good remedy, and that's not. And I mean, it will send a message, but the ramifications of that down the line for these students will be bad. So leave that there. I do think that yes, they need to be held accountable, and this needs to be made an example of. Racism isn't good. Racism is bad, and so being African American, it's always hard to talk about this because. Historically, when you use words, and I'm just gonna say it, they were saying fucking niggers. That's what they were saying. I mean, I'm sorry if that offends you guys, but that's what they were saying. When you hear that, you feel like, okay, it cuts you to your core, right? So I think that they just need to know better and do better. I mean, they're teenagers, then they can.
And also to remember that because of how the video is, where they had to reverse it, it was a choice. You figured out what those words were backwards, what that phrase was. Now let's all say it and reverse it. It wasn't like, like it just slipped out. It was a whole car full where there wasn't one person that said maybe this isn't a good idea. Let's do it with another expression if we want to use this this application on Instagram or whatever. And so there was thought put into it. It wasn't a careless thing. There was a whole car full that figured out what the words were and how to configure it and then how to reverse it. And I agree with what you guys are saying too about this being hopefully a teachable moment for these girls, because I think that you see that sometimes people just think that words are taboo because they're taboo, and they don't process why and what the history is behind it. And I would say that as well with gay slurs as well. Like when you have boys calling each other faggots, like, okay, but why? And like, why is that? It's not a taboo word because like parents are just raining on your party and you can't say certain words. There's a historical meaning behind why these words were oppressive and used to oppress minority groups. So I hope that that they're being talked to about this and they're being educated on this because it's really like gross and so stupid to watch.
Yeah.
Stupid girls in cars without any just that no one in that car, that group said, let's not do this, is like, do better. Like, do better with your friends.
Have better friends.
Have better friends.
Hang out with different people.
Your friends suck.
Yeah,
What's up, Brett?
The decision, we tried to figure out whether we should play it or not, and then and the answer is, if no one saw this, these girls wouldn't have felt the embarrassment and shame that should be accompanied with this behavior should be accompanied with.
Yeah.
And I know they're minors and everything. It gives you it sucks for them, but it's a sucky thing to do in the first place. When I was a kid, we had calculators, and we found out that if you like did 58,008 and turned it upside down, it was like boobs.
Oh yeah.
And that is the same dynamic here on one half of it. One half of it is, oh, here's a trick we can do that when you apply it, it changes something innocuous into something terrible. But Grace is absolutely on the money. The terrible it makes it completely overrides the fact that like we just wanted to see if it worked. They should have a full understanding and appreciation for how horrible that behavior is. They should feel the embarrassment that they feel now. If they're cheerleaders, they are given certain privileges that accompany their good behavior. Now that they've demonstrated their poor behavior, they should have their activities restricted.
Well, that's what they said in the article. Brett, you're absolutely right. Because when I was in high school, you messed up. My senior year of high school, I ditched class. I got caught. I was banned from all senior week activities. I couldn't go to anything.
Oh,
it was cool.
That sucks.
Yeah, that's the same as just shouting the N-word.
No, but no. I'm not equating.
I'm pointing out your school took a hard line on it, and hopefully this school takes a harder line with a worse offense.
But in the article, they said we're debating whether or not to suspend them from the cheer squad. No, MFers, they get cut from the cheer squad. You know, athletes, when an athlete got caught drinking on campus, done for the season.
Yeah,
because those are students that are selected to represent your school.
Yeah.
And when you're a cheerleader, come on, you're at the zenith, the pinnacle of coolness in high school. So you should definitely not be a flyer. You should not even be a base. However, I will say, one of the girls, shots fired.
Shots fired.
Come for me. You don't find Jason Carter official on Instagram. But one of the girls actually went back on Instagram and said, "Ha ha, you guys thought you were gonna get me," or said something to that effect.
I can read it right now.
Yeah, thought you were gonna
end me. That's what she said. My friends are black.
You guys are all effing stupid. I'm not a effing racist. The person I'm closest to is black and have always loved them. Just thought I would set things straight. That's what they said. So continue.
Oh my God, and it's happened in Utah. I mean, nothing against Utah, but I think I stand by what I said. I don't think that they should be expelled from school because I think if they've done great, let them have their academic career. But for anyone out there that's watching that is younger and that thinks that it's okay to do this, it's not. And plus, these girls are dumb. This happened a year ago. It wasn't like this is a recent event. And someone said, you know what, let me put this video out and make it viral, knowing how powerful and quickly social media latches on and hooks into things.
Well, I've seen some things where it's like, well, we should be mad at her friend who leaked it because that was a privacy issue. No. That's not it. I mean, yeah, if it was something else besides this, maybe it's just a thing between friends. But like this resonates with a lot of people for a reason. It's a terrible thing to do. And okay, you have sucky friends, but the sucky things your friends do is not, the suckiest thing your friend did was not leak the video. The suckiest thing your friend did was sit here and yell this into the camera with you.
Yeah, exactly.
What were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say it's interesting that she's like the person I'm closest to is black and that person was obviously not in the car. And I wonder if
I'm like, how close are you?
Yeah, like if they were in the car, don't you think that they might have been like, let's not
and also
yell this expletive.
Yeah, and if that is your best friend and you're saying things like that, you're obviously not thinking, oh, I wonder what my friend who I'm supposedly closest to would feel about me saying
Right, that's
something
like me
this.
white bashing or saying, calling people a cracker and my husband's white. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense. But as someone also pointed out in the comments from a video I did last week, I'm sorry, Oprah Winfrey didn't say this. Maya Angelou said this: when you know better, you do better.
There you go.
Oh my
there
goodness,
you go.
yeah.
One last thing is in Italy, they've started to do like an hour of religion a week because it's Roman Catholicism, I guess. But in schools, they've also started doing social media literacy every week.
Which is good.
That's
And they
so
bring in
smart.
people and they say like, here is the best practices for seeing something online. Like, and it's, I mean, I don't know if that changes this, but I think it's a very interesting thing for them to now understand a process for vetting information on the internet that
And consequences for what you put out there.
yeah.
I think it's needed absolutely because the prevalence, I know we got to wrap, the prevalence of social media now, it has inundated every area of our life. And now the younger kids, the younger generation, they're growing up with this. This has become like something that happened that they just like putting on a shirt, logging on social media. So I think educating and informing people how to be savvy on social media and the triggers for social media is a must.
Yeah, and the effect, I don't care about the effect this has on these girls. I hope they learned something, but they seem pretty crappy to start with. But the effect that this stuff has on people who end up seeing that video is bad. And that's a discussion for a whole thing, the anxiety that social media has created among like this entire generation.